Hare Madhava Kunja Vihare Jaya Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Anachari Yamuna Tira Anachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Purvajakacharya Shtata Sarasa A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki, Ananta Kota Vaishnav Vrinda ki, Nama Acharya Shri Haridasa Thakur ki, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Visiddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Tulasi Deva ki, Bhakti Devaki, Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki, Lord Chaitanya's Harinam Sankirtan ki, Brihat Madanga ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Marathon ki, Jai, Go Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glorious to Prabhupada. Mom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtakri, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Bacharine Nivasesha Shanyavadi Pastacharya Shatan. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 8. It looks like we're on text number 1, am I correct? Yes. So we're beginning a new chapter called The Churning of the Milk Ocean. Nice chapter to, you could say, focus on during the marathon. Sankirtan is also, we're churning. We're churning. And when you churn, devotional service is also a process of churning. We churn the nectar, so to speak. And, we say solidifying, extracting by churning in our hearts, and you'll expect that anarthas will come up. You expect that opposition will be there, challenges will be there as we churn. Intensively, they worked very hard. Sometimes it looked like they were failing. Anyway, it's a big pastime which will unfold. So we'll read today's verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Shri Shuko Vacha.
Shri Shuka Vacha.
Pite Gare Vrishankena Pritaha Te Amara. Interesting, the word Amara, it usually means deathless. Here it refers to the demigods there. Danavaha, the demons. Mamantuhu, again began to churn. Oh, sorry, we're on the word, not on the word for word yet. Mamantuhu, Tarasa, Sindhum, Havir Dhani, Tataha, Abhavat, Shri Shuko Vacha, Pite Gare Vishankena, Pritaste Maradanavaha
Itaste Maradanava
Mamantus Tarasa Sindhum
Mantustarasa Sindhum
Avirdani Tato Bhavat
Avirani Tato Bhavat
Shri Shukuvacha
Shri Shukavacha
Pite Gare Vishankena
Pite Gare Vishankena
Pritaste Maradanavaha
Itaste Maradanava
Mamantas Tarasa Sindhum
Mantustarasa Sindhum
Avirdani Tato Bhavat
Avirani Tato Bhavat
Shri Shukuvacha
Shri Shukavacha
Pite Gare Vishankena
Pite Gare Vishankena
Pritaste Maradanavaha
Itaste Maradanava
Mamantus Tarasa Sindhum
Mantustarasa Sindhum
Havirdani Tato Bhavat
Avirani Tato Bhavat
Shishkovacha
Shri Shukuvacha
Tegare Vrisankena
Pite Gare Vishankena
Pritaste Maradanavaha
Pritaste Dhananavaha
Amantu Tarasa Sindhum
Mantas Tarasa Sindhum
Avirdani Tato Bhava
Havirdani Tato Bhavat
Shri Shukovacha
Shri Shukuvacha
Vitegare Vishankena
Pite Gare Vishankena
Vitaste Maradanavaha
Pritaste Maradanavaha
Mantus Tarasa Sindhum
Amantas Tarasa Sindhum
Vitani Tato Bhagat
Havirdani Tato Bhavat. Ladies.
Shri Shukovacha
Shri Shukuvacha Pite Gare Vishankena
Itaste Maradanava Mantustarasa Sindhum Avirani Tato Bhavat
Shri Shukuvacha.
Shri Shukavacha
Shri Sukadeva Goswami said,
Sukadeva Goswami said
Pite
Pite
was drunk.
was drunk
Gare,
Gare
when the poison,
when the poison
Vrisha Ankena,
Vishankena
by Lord Shiva,
by Lord Shiva
who sits on a bull,
who sits on the board
Pritaha,
Pita
being pleased, Te,
Te
all of them,
all of them
Amara,
Amara
the demigods,
demigods
Danavaha,
Manava
and the demons,
demons
Mamantaha,
Mamantaha
Mantuhu, again began to churn,
again began to churn
Tarasa,
Tarasa
with great force,
with great force
Sindhum,
Sindhu
the ocean of milk, Havirdani, the Sarabi cow, who is the source of clarified butter. By churning you can get ghee. Tataha, from that churning, Abhavat was generated. Translation. Shukadeva Goswami continued, upon Lord Shiva's drinking the poison, both the demigods and the demons, being very pleased, began to churn the ocean with renewed vigor. As a result of this, there appeared a cow known as Sarabi. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. The Sarabi cow is described as Havirdani, the source of butter. Butter, when clarified by melting, produces ghee, or clarified butter, which is inevitably necessary for performing great ritualistic sacrifices. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yagya dana tapakarma natyajam karyam eva tat. Sacrifice, charity, and austerity are essential to keep human society perfect in peace and prosperity. Yagya, the performance of sacrifice, is essential. To perform yagya, clarified butter is absolutely necessary. And to get clarified butter, milk is necessary. Milk is produced when there are sufficient cows. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Cow protection is recommended. Krishigo Raksha Vanijam Vaishya Karma Sabhavajam. The occupation of the Vaishyas, cow protection. They also do agriculture and trade, but it's based upon cow protection as being center point, because particularly for the Brahmins, of course, grains are required, and therein comes the bull. But the performance of sacrifice requires particularly the cow. The cow gives the most important food, Prabhupada says, in human society. The most important food is milk. There's a big, sort of what we could say, wave of against, I don't know, it's not the right word exactly, but against the idea of drinking milk. Big movements, very popular. Because they don't know the purpose of human life. Their reasons may appear to be philanthropic or good of some kind, and they don't like to see the cruelty to animals. And so on. But it's missing the most essential point. What is the purpose of the whole thing? What is the purpose of our lives? It's not to be, as Prabhupada said, our purpose of life is not to be a vegetarian, or to speak of a vegan. Prabhupada said, we'll eat meat if Krishna wants us to. We're not fanatics. Based upon, it can be based, as Arjuna was arguing on religious principles, I will not fight. Right? Bhagavad Gita. Quoting religious principles, and I would say that the vast majority of people would agree with Arjuna, not Krishna. In principle, aside from the philosophy of spirituality, but in terms of principle, the idea of fighting is not generally considered to be a very welcome or pure behavior, in one sense. So on religious or based, let's say, material religious principles. But there's nowhere in the Vedic literatures that, let's say, recommends when, that the cow and the bull are not engaged in the way they're meant to be, so to speak. Maybe in some pseudo-religious doctrines. But in religious principles, the cow and the bull are absolutely required. Of course, in the Kaitava, in the cheating of this day and age, it may not be the case. They have various, on every level, concoctions are there which are against the will of God, against His direction. Religion, dharman tu shakshad bhagavat panitam, is coming from Krishna, it's coming from God, it's not man-made. It's not a competitive thing, that God is confused, that He says one thing here and one thing there, and it's like, not sure which is the truth. He's not. For certain persons, in various modes of nature, they may even be recommended to eat meat under certain conditions. What is one man's meat is another man's poison, they say. But nowhere is there a recommendation for cow killing. Nowhere. There may be some recommendation for low-class persons to kill a goat or some other low creature. But not a cow. And goats. a little higher than many, but never a cow. There's nowhere. And there's nowhere is it recommended that we should stop, unless you have health issues, of course, stop drinking milk. We know the philosophy of those who devotees, that is. You could say it's, in one sense, it has a justifiable reason, but the effect. Hare Krishna, good to see you. Welcome back again. I heard you're cooking lunch today, is that correct? Wow, she's getting enough help? Where's that boss? You make sure you get I don't know who's going to be here at lunch. These boys will all be gone. I don't know, all gone. We're going to, quite a few devotees for lunch. So make sure there's plenty of, and we'll see you later, Veni. Yeah. It seems like a somewhat good motive, and it's a preaching motive to show by some kind of example, you could say. Obviously everybody knows the different perspectives of, I don't say argument, the different perspective of decision making on this, and we don't usually get into that, but the general principle is that cows are the most important entity. In fact, Prabhupada writes, and I think it's in the purport in the 10th canto, that it's describing, we all know that, in society, Gobhamanya Hitaya. The cows and the Brahmins are the most important, in human society, the most important entities. Not in human society, the cows are obviously not a member of the human society, but in society they're the two most important entities. And that doesn't go down with obviously modern perspective, because they don't know the goal of life at all, practically. And many of them, in the name of religion, are directly opposed to that idea. Why? Because human life is meant for sacrifice. Why? Vishnu is meant for, human life is specifically meant for this reason here, as it says, performing sacrifice, yajna, must be performed, yajna tat kamalanyatra loka yang karma bandhanaha. Otherwise karma bandhana. We become bound in karma. Performance of correct yajna. Yajna is not just concoction. People perform concocted yajnas, fasting for some political reason or some selfish reason, material reason, some recognition or power or something or another. That is not the real yajna. Yajna is according to the direction of Krishna. He gives the direction how you perform the yajna. Nature yajna Sankirtan prayer, for instance, in Kali Yuga, the yajna is Sankirtan. It's the concoction to think it's something else. It's Sankirtan. It's not anything else. Other things may be there if the acharyas direct to accompany and facilitate the execution of Sankirtan Yajna. But Sankirtan Yajna is the actual Yajna for this age recommended by God. We may be attached to other things, but without Sankirtan they are meaningless, they have no effect. Even if one does do a Yajna without Sankirtan, it has no real effect, ultimately. Sankirtan is the only Yajna in Kali Yuga which is effective. So yajna must be performed. We can say you don't really need milk for performing Sankirtan yajna. Other kinds of yajna, milk is, you can literally, to say, ghee, etc., are absolutely required. You cannot offer, olive oil when you, do abhishek or whatever. I don't know what people do where there's no milk, I don't know. Maybe they do, I don't know. In Brazil, I don't know if it's true, but we were told by one Brazilian devotee that they sell pig's milk in Brazil. Pig's milk. And many people don't realize it, or they mix the milks, they mix pig milk with cow milk and buffalo milk, and as they do in India. You rarely get pure cow's milk in India, there, in the market. There, you can. But it's usually mixed with buffalo milk It's big signs. 100% pure buffalo milk. People like it. Ghee in Vrindavan for a long time, it's not now. They were buying it from one farm until they found it's actually mixed with camel milk. They were using camel milk to make the ghee. Well, the idea is good, but the reality is it's not the same thing. It doesn't have the same effect. It may look good, it may taste good, I don't know. But it's not the same thing. Krishna knows the circumstances, but there has to be, as Prabhupada says, sufficient cows. We don't have sufficient cows. Society is organized in a way which doesn't allow it. There are many cows. The world is maintained with butter, and ghee is not so popular, but butter is popular all over the world, right? And mostly, what we call butter on the market, you can get different types, but mostly the butter is from the cows. There are some parts of the world, like New Zealand, where they have excess, right? A tremendous excess. Even in the Western world, they are throwing away hundreds of thousands of tons of butter every year, dumping it. They make so much butter, they don't use it. Cow butter. They throw it away. Imagine what that means. The cow is producing the milk and they're throwing the butter away. Meant to be used as sacrifice. And they're rejecting it. So, aside from that, there is a great production of these things, but it's all artificially managed for the wrong reasons. But in Vedic society, you think, what a waste of butter. From butter, we used to not be able to get ghee in England, for instance, so we would make ghee every week from butter. We get butter from the, let's say, the surplus store. They have these surplus place. They sell it real cheap sometimes, butter. And then we would make it on once a week, a big container of ghee, and use that for the rest of the week. So we have the ghee coming from the butter. Cooking everything cooked in ghee. Even though we had no money, we would always use ghee to cook. We would never use oil. I know devotees use oil in many places, even here, I think. But we're cooking for Krishna. We're not cooking, primarily we're cooking for Krishna. And we're cooking, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that milk, Prabhupada said, is liquid religion, liquid religiosity, dharma. And Prabhupada writes, it nourishes the necessary brain cells to be able to comprehend spiritual subject matters. To understand. They're very difficult concepts from spiritual subject. But milk products are very favorable to help develop. Of course, scientifically, they probably nobody will agree with this. But that's the principle, that's the statement of Prabhupada and Shastra, that they're very favorable for cultivating or developing the good brain cells to comprehend spiritual knowledge. Help bring one to the mode of goodness and to see things more clearly. And besides the fact that, we could say, and the arguments go back and forth, we know that. We don't take, discriminative sides or likes and dislikes, it's just different angles of looking at it. But to engage the cow also in acts of sacrifice, let's say, taking the milk and using it. Now, the milk, of course, is another thing because it's generally speaking contaminated. Not just because of the way the cows are not protected in society, but from the point of view, it's very constituents. Most milk is processed in various ways. Most of what we buy is processed. And of course the cow is not being protected from many angles, the way they're fed, the way they're looked after, or not looked after, etc. So There's a lot of negativity, and even in most cases, indirect, receiving the milk directly. But the idea of Prabhupada so strongly wanted us not to just reject the concept of, the fact that cows are not being protected, but to show the positive. It's also not so easy, we know that. But that was Prabhupada's incentive or drive, that we should be protecting cows and producing milk to offer in sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord, and milk products, and which includes ghee, making our own ghee, churning the milk, making yogurt, churning the yogurt, making butter, then churning further and making, or boiling it. In the case of ghee, boil it. Now when you boil butter, as Prabhupada says here, by heating, but literally by boiling it, it melts. You get butter, it melts. If you ever noticed, that, of course, the butter which we buy, commercial butter, is not quite the same. It's full of additives and various things. But even if it's pure ghee, butter made from yogurt, still when you churn it, that, or rather boil that butter, different other things come out of it, different constituents, and you generally scoop them off. You don't waste them. I see sometimes devotees throw things away, which are very valuable. Now, with the material sense of the term of these products, that may be not quite the same, but it's still the same principle. When naturally made butter, you don't throw anything away. Nothing is lost. When you make, we call it English curds and whey. Now, the word curd sometimes refers to yogurt, but traditionally curds and whey is when you put the lemon into the milk and boil it, and then you get the solids, and you get the liquids. And the liquids are called whey. Now, whey is the most nourishing part of the cow's milk, practically speaking. Don't throw it away. Don't throw the whey away. Does it make sense or not? Don't throw the whey away. Many times I see devotees pouring the whey away. It's so valuable. Don't throw it. Every single thing come for the cow is so valuable. Prabhupada writes, of all of these two entities, the cow is more important than the Brahmin. So important. Because this satisfies Krishna. They are the most dear to Krishna. Again, we're talking on a platform which is, say, another dimension to most human so-called analysis. So we don't throw anything away, and even that which comes to the surface, maybe the bottom of the pot, there will be some solids which are not so easy to recycle. But on the top, you'll find all kind of sediments come to the top. You scoop them off. You keep them in a separate container. They are used for, and especially we would use them, for instance, in putting on the chapatis. You take you rub them. You take that and you take a brush, and you kind of put it on top of the chapati. It's very tasty, very nice. Instead of putting a big blob of butter on top, you use that. Or you can use it in dough also, various things. Whey can also be used in dough. It can be used in many things. You can't cook it exactly like water, but it can be mixed, cut with water, and cooking many things. And you soak when you made the curds and whey, you generally fry the whey to make the curd balls. This is squares, balls, whatever you make. And you fry it in ghee, then you soak it in the whey. And that's how you please Krishna. And then you make wonderful, then you put it in with the vegetable preparations, mahabrinjal or whatever it is. What they call it, what is that other term they use for that preparation, the royal? Anyway, it's got a name which is, Meat eater's delight, they used to call it. Meat eater's delight. Mahabrinjal. It tastes absolutely, well, especially if you're a meat eater, it tastes delicious. It's got that deep, and this is perfectly bona fide. Every feast would have that. For the pleasure of Krishna and for the devotees. Krishna wants to please them. Sacrifice pleases everyone. By the performance of sacrifice, everyone's satisfied. Everyone's pleased. Everyone's benefited. Perform sacrifice for the welfare of everyone by serving the root, offering everything to Krishna. So doing it the way Krishna would like, not the way we feel or the way someone else says it should be done. We do it the way Krishna likes. That's how it should be. And we hear that from the pure devotees, how to perform sacrifice. Not just a concoction or speculation, but it's how is recommended to perform. That's why in Kali Yuga these other sacrifices are very, very hard to perform. Sankirtan Yoga is very easy to perform. That doesn't mean we should ignore other aspects of sacrifice and do anything. No, there are certain behaviors which are also important to facilitate. We're not so pure, society is so corrupted, we're so conditioned, and so on and so forth, that there are other activities, deity worship being primary in that regards, and various rules and regulations which are minimal for those who are serious about spiritual life. They're not very strict in terms of traditional standards. And there will be different standards at different levels of maturity, of course. But the principal one is everyone performs Sankirtan Yoga. And everyone should be given the opportunity to benefit, to get the benefit of, the presence of the cow in society, protecting the cow, and thus automatically society will be adjusted. So there are many angles of looking at it. But this is the unseen, when Prabhupada came to London in 1977, he was very happy to hear the Sankirtan results, but he wasn't talking so much about book distribution or devotee maintenance, etc., or deity worship. No, some, but not so much. Primarily he was talking about cow protection. When he came last time he came to the West. It was such a big topic in his heart, the importance of cow protection. We don't perhaps realize it or are not part of it very much, but it's very important aspect, this farm with cow protection program. Just like with deity worship, it's hard to maintain. And we can see with deity worship, always struggling to get pujaris everywhere practically. To pay them, and they're basically, in many cases, it's like a job rather than, a pure service. It's hard to find Brahmins in this age, very hard. It's hard to find anything other than Shudras and less. Below Shudras, some of them. Even Vaishyas are, corrupted completely. There are some, but they're corrupted. There's no Kshatras practically. No Brahmins. Slight inclination in that direction, but not with the right motive usually. Very hard to find. So definitely Sankirtan Yoga is the absolute saving grace of this age. But still Prabhupada was very much wanted us to establish this principle of cow protection. Like that. Brahminical Brahmins and Vaishyas, every part of the body is essential, but the stomach is like the absolute requirement. The Vaishyas are like the stomach. They're providing the whole nourishment for society. And amongst the activities of the Vaishyas, the cow protection is primary. It's minimized now, for various reasons. But it's very important. Yogya. Everything from the cow, even the cow's hair, the dung, the urine, the dust, everything is considered to be auspicious. Everything. And the products made from the milk, of course, are many. All used in yogya for the pleasure of the Lord. Okay. Today is day number 6, I think, is it, of the marathon, or 5? 5, isn't it? 5, 28, 29, 30, 1, yeah, 2. Today is number 5, 5th day. Summits, maybe 6, I don't know. I don't know when everyone starts at different times these days. Some started about a week ago or more. It's not so defined, and therefore it's not so kind of comparative. Some go on to the second week of January. Some stop at Christmas Eve. Everyone's different marathons going on parallel with each other. Krishna consciousness is a marathon. I mean, Prabhupada writes, probably in the 4th canto, I think, is the pastime of King Prashini Barhishat, Puranjam, 4th canto, how he was performing karmakandya, material yogyas, one after the next, for the welfare of society. That was the idea, at least. Prabhupada, just like King Prashini Barhishat was performing one yoga after the next, we also should do constant yogya. Here yoga going on in the neck, like the sun. There's no. There is one now. It's 8:44 according to that clock. And in a few seconds it will be 8:45. But somewhere else, they, of course, we set the clocks the same. But in terms of actual time, maybe in Nantes it'll be 8:44. Always that time is there. 24 hours, that time is there, all the 24 hours. Somewhere that exact time is there. So the sacrifice, the yogya should be going on all the time. Somewhere. Or many places on this planet. The more the yogya is performed, and of course the more the right mentality is there, the more it will please Krishna, the more it will benefit society. The best thing we can do for the world, and for the turbulence which is there, and the confusion which is there, and the difference of opinions which are there, which result many times in clashes, heavy clashes, is the performance of Sankirtan Yoga. Philosophically and institutionally and politically, these things may go on, but they don't solve the problem. They may adjust it only. The problem is solved in Kali Yuga by Sankirtan Yoga. Of course, the motive of performing what we call Sankirtan is also, effectively speaking, is essential to have knowledge and the right mood. But any performance of Sankirtan Yoga has some beneficial effect. But maybe sometimes when it's very corrupted, the so-called performance, most non-Vaishnavas perform kirtan in various ways, but it's corrupted by ulterior motives. Therefore, it doesn't have the effect as such. But it should be with the right motive also, to please the Lord, to please Krishna. Chant for the pleasure of Krishna. But the performance of Sankirtan is the most important thing on the planet. Together, and probably, people maybe think, well, you guys are just proud of yourselves or something, maybe, but what the world would be without Sankirtan Yoga, we do not know. It's bad enough, but without that, we don't know. Who can say? Because we can't see. Krishna knows. Pure devotees know. But it's the saving grace in society. As Prabhupada said, if The war will be there unless we perform the Sankirtan Yajna strongly, very effectively. So bear that in mind. We have a great opportunity this month to intensify the performance of the Sankirtan Yajna, which includes book distribution. Baba said mass book distribution. He said in one sentence, one letter, he said, with the introduction of Rath Yatra along with mass book distribution, we would change the world. The world will change. Hare Krishna. That's Prabhupada's revolution. It's a different kind of revolution, isn't it? As you know, the word revolution means to return to your origins. It's not some kind of self-composed concept of, how things should be. It means to return to our original roots. This is rather revolution, back where you came from. Revolution, around. Not just spinning off in another direction. So this is the revolution, to bring us back to where we should be, through Sankirtan Yajna. So this month, you could say you're cooking a pot of something, or you just turn the heat up a little bit, it cooks a bit quicker. You have to know not to overburn, not to burn it, don't get burnt out, as they say. Sometimes they start like a rocket and they burn out. They get sick because they ignore we're going to continually try to work on that, to try to see that the prasadam is nourishing for the devotees who are going out. Is that correct? We'll continually try to work on that one. It's cold. When you go out on Sankirtan, it's usually in winter. It's usually cold. You need nourishing hot prasadam. Something according to the individual's conditioning also. We're not all pure devotees. It does affect us what we eat psychologically also, so try to work on that. So I remember when I was traveling with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he was a brahmachari then on that library program, he'd ask each and every one of us, he said, what do you need? What do you need? And that would be it. You draw that's what you get. It wasn't like, he was eating raw carrots, which he was. His diet was raw carrots and cheese, something like that, But he wasn't enforcing that upon us. Army marches on its stomach. Famous saying. So bear that in mind. Pleasing Krishna also means pleasing devotees too. Especially when I'm performing Sankirtan Yoga, otherwise they won't be able to do it. As we read that letter yesterday, Prabhupada was emphasizing. Did we? No, we read it, but not to you. We just read it. Maybe I read it the other day, I don't know. Let's see. Oops. And clothing, if anyone needs clothing, please see Gauranga Prema. He hasn't even got any himself yet. He hasn't had time to go shopping. He's got no shoes. I don't know if I can find it because there's a lot of quotes here, aren't there? Let's go down. Let's see a bit quicker. Yeah. Everyone should go with the Sankirtan party as soon as possible. And here it is. Don't run away. Here's the quote, Rasananda. There's only 2 lines. Our preaching work will be measured by the quantity of books we distribute, so continue ever increasingly. Take care the devotees do not become sick. They should always be properly clothed and fed. Prabhupada's quote. So Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay? Make sure you're properly clothed and fed, okay? Make sure you're properly clothed and fed. You.
I cannot deal with myself.
Huh? You have to feed yourself properly, okay? Charity begins at home. Yeah.
Charity begins at home. First do yourself, then
Charity begins at home. Well, there is a truth in that, but it's not exactly what most people would construe. In other words, I'm the number one, I have to look after myself, to heck with everyone else. It means, we can't really do much to help others if we are not ourselves in good shape, spiritually and materially.
like in flight they say.
Excuse me?
First yourself, help yourself, then you help others.
Yeah, but they say that on the airplanes. Is that what you said? First put your mask on before you put the other's mask on. Otherwise you might die before the other one gets the mask on. Then you can't help anyone, neither yourself nor them. So you have to be fit yourself, otherwise you can't really help others too much. Hare Krishna. Merci beaucoup. So today there will be, for the devotees on Sankirtan, there will be hot maha brinjal with curds which have been soaked in whey, and yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Huh? Steaming hot chapatis with, they'll collapse after that. So you can't stop eating it and you just fall asleep. That's a feast preparation.
I never heard about these little crumbs from the ghee.
There's many things. Well, they don't make ghee anymore. We buy it, so you never see it. Hardly anyone makes ghee anymore from butter. Rarely. Not devotees anyway. Karmis make it. They use, believe me, the Karmis use everything from the cow. Everything. They grind down the bones and everything. Everything is used. The cow, every single thing is used. The hooves, everything is ground down and put into different things. Paint. Most paint products contain milk products. 90% of allopathic medicine is mostly milk products. You may be a vegan, but you're going to have to look at your medicine too, because most of it is not vegan. It doesn't say it. Most of it is not vegan in society. So many things, even paint. Much paint is not vegan. Milk products in there. Stabilize, paint, what you put on the wall. So many products that have milk products in them. Derivatives of the milk industry. It's a different world that we're living in. They never used to use paint in the old days. But now everything's painted. We use some natural colorings. Paint as we know it now, anyway. Hare Krishna. You okay? Good. What's happening? Finish? Or just... So we'll get on, and today is Saturday. Harinam